Department. Anybody else agenda? So what is Sparkers?
Oh. It don't matter.
Yeah, anyone?
Please, I hadn't looked at the agenda, do I?
This is off the desk, so when you go in your office to the right.
Why does it do that to me when
All right, let's bring that, okay?
Well, I printed it from Kelly's. I don't know why it does that.
Yes, sir.
Do we need more chairs? There's one now.
Annette, you want to sit up here? There's a chair right here at this table.
There's about 3 chairs if they want to sit
Yeah,
down.
there's a couple more chairs we could pull around to the side. It's about time to start.
There's Mr. Luther.
Grab that chair right there, Mr. Larry. Good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock. I appreciate all of y'all being here. It is a practice in this governing body to exercise an invocation and pledge of allegiance. Anyone present who is uncomfortable with this practice is invited to either mute their phone line or step outside of the courtroom, then rejoin us following the invocation and our pledge.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we come before you today. We ask you for your guidance in our decisions today as we have this Commissioner's Court. We pray for our country, for Ukraine and the other countries of the world, that this conflict does not escalate into something that we'll all be sorry of. We pray that you would be with us each and every day, and especially today. We pray that you'd forgive us of our sins. Pray that you'd be with us as we travel home to our places of abode, and we ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. To the American flag. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Y'all all be seated. Okay, we'll start with our public comments. I have Ms. Meisenberg.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Take one of those and pass it around. And I have some here, if you want to take one and pass them around. And I have more. Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to present today. This ties in with agenda item number F, which is regarding the joint election that will be happening on May 7th. But I'm here today to talk about the bond that Brookville ISD has called to provide information on that. As public officials and commissioners, all of you, I believe, have part of Brookville ISD within your precinct, and you may be getting questions about this. So I want to make sure that you are informed, and in turn, our voters are informed.
Thank you.
So we started this about 2 years ago with a facility audit, and about a year ago, we got a community group together. We had about 45 committed community members who would come together over a period of 9 months, attending when they could. And we reviewed all of our options regarding facilities in the school district. We explored renovations, we explored new buildings, we explored the purpose and the direction of the school district and the vision of the district and how it ties in and supports our community. and the goals of economic development within our region. After all of that work, the committee came back and recommended to the board that we go out for a $47.85 million bond. That is massive. It is huge, and we all understand that. But what does it mean? What we're looking at is with that money, we would build a new pre-K through 5, one building that holds all of those grade levels on the other side of town. I'm not sure how many years ago, but way back in the day, prior board members purchased that property with the vision of having a consolidated school district in one area. And we are hoping to see that come to fruition now. So if you look on the back of the bond flyer that I gave you, it kind of shows you what the idea is. Now remember, this is just a general plan. It is nothing, it's conceptual only. I promise you the school, if the bond passes and is built, will not be a yellow rectangle. It will be a building, though, that would provide services for our students from pre-K through 5th grade in one consolidated building. And you can see kind of where it's located in reference to the high school and the middle school. So it would be off of 287. A new road would be built that would come across and connect back to the high school. It would be it would not be directly accessible from 287. And even though this shows it kind of close to the highway, the idea is to get it off of the highway so that we can have room there for safety and security as well. In addition to the elementary building, you would also have a comprehensive CTE, career technology. Currently, we have an ag shop, but we are building our CTE, career technology programs, which provides high school students opportunities to earn certifications and skill development for workforce development. Our students, we have students graduate every year with 2-year certification programs in welding, health sciences, animal sciences, business and finance, that gives them the opportunity to go straight from high school into the community for livable wages and provide to the economic development of our community and our region. Or they can also have opportunities to attend dual credit classes and go to post-secondary education in a college or university or technical school. So in this list right here, you'll see all of the programs that we currently offer our students. We don't have the space for it, and we don't have the infrastructure to support all of those. We're doing it, but in order to provide more quality programs, for example, we're looking at adding a plumbing tradesman, where students would be able to graduate with a tradesman license in plumbing with starting salaries of $45,000 upon graduation from high school. And then the opportunity to scaffold certifications through journeyman apprenticeship and master plumber. So those are the types of programs that we do, and that is what this bond would support. If you look at the front, it talks a little bit about the tax impact. You have some information that compares the tax rates for our neighboring school districts. All of the districts located on there are about the same size as our school district. And then you also have our historical tax rates, which show that we paid off our last bond in 2020, and we currently have no bonded debt. So our tax rate is currently 89 cents, which you can see is one of the lowest in the region, if not across the state. One thing that I do want to point out is just a reminder that if you are 65 and older and you have a homestead exemption, your taxes are frozen and do not go up because of school bonds. County and city are different. They may go up for county and city taxes, but they are frozen for school taxes. So if you have a homestead exemption, your taxes are frozen in regards to this bond, and it will not impact you. I have a town hall meeting on March the 28th at 6:30 at the gym. We'll be advertising, or the cafeteria. We'll be advertising that. Anybody who has questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But I know my time is limited. Just wanted to make sure you had valid information, and feel free to call me if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just was wanting to know if this is like total, that's how much their taxes will be.
more than the other
taxes
taxes.
and salaries and the elementary tax. And we're putting it in
But
the
it's 736 for the annual. So is that above and beyond your other?
Ms. Meisenberg?
Can you explain this part here on the tax impact? I want to be clear on that if somebody asks me. I mean, is that on a $200,000 home, is that
The annual
the
amount
annual amount?
now?
Yes. Now, that is, if you look at, you have to have a special reading glasses on mine are quite required.
Okay.
That is if the $40,000 state exemption is approved.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's not approved, that tax amount will go up. But if that $40,000 property tax reduction does take effect, that would be the amount annually for a $200,000 home. On our website, if you go to the WoodvilleEagles.org website and click on bond, there's a calculator. You can put in the exact amount of your property and it will tell you exactly how much it impacts you each month and for the year.
So that would be their total school taxes on their home for that year.
No, that's the amount of the
The
increase.
increase. Ooh.
That's the amount of the increase.
The annual amount?
Correct,
So that's above what it is now?
correct.
Okay.
It's gonna be this
That was
much,
my whole point.
yeah, it's gonna be that much more per month or that much more
Per year. Wow. Okay.
I will say, I've had people say, I can't pay thousands and thousands of dollars back every year. So it's important, we felt it is an impact. We know it's a big impact. It's gonna raise taxes, but you're not paying $2,000 a year more or $3,000 a year more, which was the concern of some of the taxpayers that I've been talking with.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
But you said that's only if this state exemption passes?
Correct. If that exemption does not pass, so if that does not pass, it'll be slightly more.
Okay. I'd be interested to see those numbers as well, if it doesn't pass.
And I believe on our tax calculator, you get the option of choosing that in there.
And that's also on like seven.
All righty. Mr. Saunier,
Yes, sir. Good morning.
good morning.
We're here in Commissioner's Court the 12th of July.
Yes,
That's
sir.
not the problem we have on 3240 on the road.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I don't think Mikey ever answered my question, if you ever had anything appropriated to get our road fixed.
Yes, sir. Well, I told you that I did not last year. We are gonna try to work on it this summer.
And that's been going on 9 months. And it's getting a lot worse.
Well, Mr. Saunier, I don't know if you understand about oil sand, but you really can't do anything with it in the wintertime or when it's wet weather. You know, we gotta have good, dry, hot summer.
You're correct, you're correct. I mean, I was in construction 40 years, I know winter and summer what you do. But that was during summertime too, you had time to fix that road or start fixing it. And you ever thought about maybe just repairing half of it, if you don't have the funds, and then maybe do the rest at a different time, Mike?
Yes, sir. I appreciate your concern about it. But, you know, when we budget a year ahead for the year. And when you came in and talked to me in July, I had pretty well run through my budget. And I didn't have the money to work on it.
So what you're saying, we may get something done this coming year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's my plan.
Sir?
That's my plan.
Okay. I found something real interesting in the National Association of Counties, which is, I guess you can look on, there's a lot of this stuff you can look at, as you well know, on the internet. And I was told there's a lot more, but me and my wife found this, and I thought it was really interesting about the ARPA money. It says government services can include, but not limited to, maintenance or pay-go funding buildings of infrastructure, including roads. I found of your cyber security, you may have read this same thing, I don't know. Cybersecurity included hardware, software, protection of critical infrastructure, health services, environment, and rehabilitation of schools, of education. dedicated services. That means we help schools and that stuff, just ARPA money too, that's coming in. Because it says it right here, you can do your work in infrastructures and roads, if I'm not mistaken. And this is not just on here. They're all over the website, Mike. That this ARPA money can be used for that too, besides other things.
Yes. All righty.
So have you thought about that?
Oh, yeah, we've thought about it. We'll check into it. We've been trying to get an administrator for this deal for a while, and we didn't get any any people to accept it, so we're just kind of waiting to see if we can get an administrator to kind of guide us on some of this stuff.
This one particularly has been found on National Association of Counties.
Yes, sir. I've read it.
Oh, you have read, there's many more of the same thing, it says the same thing about the ARPA money.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Ms. Gonzalez,
Good morning.
good morning.
I live on County Road 3240, and I've been concerned with bus coming down with kids because rocks, rolls, bumps, bounces, I mean, it's rough. And some of the shoulders are falling off. The mail lady, I'm sure, drags her car in some of these mailboxes. It's deep. They were out a few days ago patching holes. Didn't even look at the mailbox holes, didn't patch all the holes. I mean, they come out there and make an appearance, is about it. They don't really patch them all. I know it takes a lot of asphalt to do that. But, you know, we're doing our part. We're paying the taxes and we vote you in to be over that.
Amen.
And to see that you come out the roads every now and then and inspect them, and then go tell workers, hey, I need this done. And that's all we're asking is if you try to fill these potholes, make the shoulders a little more stable. I know the hills are bad, because I've been here 40 years, they're fighting my hill. And it is sandy dirt, but not bad as the other side of it, is the Expal Road. But it can be controlled if you just come in a little more often and actually see what you need to do and help us out that way. Now, we do call your office, different ones of us, and say, hey, this needs attention, that needs attention. I know you can't be there all the time. But, you know, we're relying on you in your office to take care of our road. And that's all we ask, and you just come look at it, help us out a little bit. We'll do our part, work with you best we can. And we appreciate what you are doing, but maybe one day we can get it repaid, that would be best. And I know that takes a lot of money, but it's been 25 years or better since it was paved.
I don't think so, Ms. Clarice.
Not that long? Well, I haven't researched it, to be honest, but I know it's been a very long time.
I'd just like to would say one thing about the mailboxes. I think there's a bad misconception. People think the county is responsible for keeping in front of your mailbox fixed. They're not. That is the homeowner's responsibility to keep it where the mail vehicle can get to their mailbox. It's not the county's responsibility. Ours is the road. And that's what people don't understand. And I get calls all the time wanting us to fix it in front of their mailboxes. That's a part of a homeowner's responsibility.
Yeah, and we do some of it, a little here and there, but when I bought my land, the man told me before the road was ever put in, he says, your land goes to the middle of that road. This person's land goes to the middle of that road. And then you pay taxes and they take care of it. The post boxes or mailboxes are on the road. Our fence line is back here and mailboxes are up here. So it's kind of who takes care of it. We do what we can, but we don't have as much rock and dirt as you can get a hold of.
I know, Ms. Gonzalez. It's hard for us to get a hold of too. I mean, it costs a lot of money to buy.
Right, so it's even harder for us.
Right.
So if you can fill those holes up and help us out, I'm sure the milk delivery would appreciate it too.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Mrs. Rainmeyer? Is that correct? Good
I'm
morning.
gonna beat the same drum.
Okay.
I live on that road also, and a lot of times when they come and throw the tar, whatever it is they throw out, they only go 2/3 of the way down the road, and I live further, so my part doesn't usually get taken care of. But the part that bothers me the most is the road is washing away on the sides, and the school bus comes down there. And I'm just afraid one day it's gonna tip over, because the road's just gonna be gone on one side or the other. And there's a ditch there, so, and, you know, it bothers me not, I mean, I drive down the road like this, so I get down the road, but if a policeman were behind me, he'd probably stop me for being drunk. Because you do to avoid the bumps and the holes. That's it.
Do we still have two different garbage trucks going out there every week too?
Yes.
Could I be recognized with 1 minute?
Sure, go ahead.
Water department came through and right there at 256 on our road and just cut through it and just spread them some gravel. And you know what it did, it's something, we're starting to get holes in it too. And, most of this mailbox trouble is not ours, it's the road trouble that, while these vehicles are dragging and she comes through there. But the bus factor is really, really important. You can watch that bus when it comes down the road and it rocks. And you might want to put that at the top of the list because everybody knows it now and it's not really safe. And if you could talk to the water department about coming and fixing their road coming into 3240, that would be appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
I think that's it. All right. Let's move on to our tabled items from previous meetings. It's to appoint an elected official to serve in the open position on the Tri-County Community Action Board per request from Yolanda Lille.
I actually spoke to somebody, but I was unable to get a confirmation, so we'll have to take it again until.
All right, just leave it there. All right, we'll just leave that table on this.
Okay.
All right, Roman numeral 3, consent agenda. Minutes from previous meetings. We do have some from February 14th.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion?
I'll second it.
Got a motion, second. All in favor to approve the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B, monthly reports.
I need to request that our monthly report be tabled or on the next meeting.
Okay, we're gonna vote on everything but the county clerk's report. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second. Got a motion, second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Roman numeral 4, resolutions, proclamations, and orders. A is order authorizing the sale of fireworks during San Jacinto Day, April 16th, midnight to April 21st. And I'll put it before the motion.
Second.
Got a motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B is Red Cross Awareness Month proclamation. And I don't know if I have the proclamation, but
Yes, we.
I have it.
it's Mr. Staggs.
Right there.
Hey, there you are. Good morning, Mr. Staggs. Glad to have you here. Would you like to, do you have the Donnie's got it here, she said.
I probably do. I think Kelly made one.
Yes.
Any of you who happen to know someone interested in doing volunteer work, we need volunteers badly in Tyler County, and we would appreciate it if you all would help us get some volunteers.
Yes, sir. You want me to read that, Mr.
If
Stanley?
you would read that,
Yes, sir.
you'd like to have it signed if you don't mind.
Okay. March 2022 Red Cross Month. Whereas the Commissioners Court of Tyler County recognizes the Red Cross as where people mobilize to help their neighbors across the street, across the country, and across the world in emergencies. And whereas each year in communities large and small, victims of nearly 70,000 disasters turn to neighbors familiar and new, the more than 500,000 volunteers, 32,000 employees of the Red Cross. Through nearly 600 locally supported chapters, more than 13 million people gain the skills they need to prepare for and respond to emergencies in their homes, communities, and world. Some 4 million people give blood, the gift of life, through the Red Cross, making it the largest supplier of blood and blood products in the United States. The Red Cross helps thousands of U.S. service members separated from their families by military duty stay connected. And whereas Tyler County has a locally supported chapter and has been assisted by the Red Cross during disasters. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Commissioners Court recognizes 2022 as Red Cross Month and encourages its citizens to participate in learning more about the Red Cross, its history, participation, and opportunities. That's it.
If you all would sign it, please.
Yes, sir.
Is that in form of a motion?
Yes, sir. I'll put it in form.
I'll second.
The Red Cross serves in big disasters and small disasters. And 2 years ago, we gave out $17,000 to victims of house fires in Tyler County. We don't collect near that much. It's through donations of other people, and we thank them. We thank the ones who can help, so do the best you can. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. We really appreciate y'all's work. Okay, let's see. Item C, the 2022 Indigent Defense Grant Program Resolution. Whereas under the provisions of the Texas Government Code, Section 79.037, Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 173, counties are eligible to receive grants from the Texas Indigent Defense Commission to provide improvements in indigent defense services in the county. And whereas this grant program will assist the county in the implementation and the improvement of the indigent criminal defense services in this county. And whereas Tyler County Commissioners Court has agreed that in the event of loss or misuse of the funds, Tyler County Commissioners assures that the funds will be returned in full to the Texas Indigent Defense Commission. Now therefore be it resolved and ordered that the county judge of the county is designated as the authorized official to apply for, accept, decline, modify, or cancel the grant application for the Indigent Defense Formula Grant Program and all other necessary documents to accept said grant. And be it further resolved that the county auditor is designated as the financial officer for this grant, adopted the 14th day of March 2022 by the Tyler County Commissioners Court. Now I'll put it in the form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Anybody have anything you want to say about it? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Let's see, item D, Woodville Housing Authority, 2022 resolution approving waiver of payments in lieu of taxes, which is a pilot for public housing developments. Resolution approving waiver of payments in lieu of taxes for Woodville Housing. Whereas it is a request of the Woodville Housing Authority to support efficient management and maintenance of low-income public housing. And whereas funds available for payments in lieu of taxes to the Tyler County Tax Assessor by the Housing Authority are needed for continuing management and maintenance of low-income public housing. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Commissioners' Council of the Tyler County Tax Assessor that any and all pilot payable by the Housing Authority of the City of Woodville on low-income public housing developments be waived and that this waiver continue each year until such time that pilot is reinstated by separate resolution. Y'all, anybody, have y'all, were you aware of this? I mean, I had this first time.
They're not assessed taxes, they're exempt, but they have in the past sent a check, and I distributed amongst the entities that they're in, the city of Woodville School, the county, the hospital. But they're needing this for their files because they want to use those funds for other things. So that's what that is.
But all we would, the only waiver we would give would be county tax, right, to the general fund, or, we can't give a waiver to the school.
Right,
Or the city.
And they send that money voluntarily. I mean, they just pick a number and they send it to me, and I distribute it. But they just needed the court to have this signed. I think it was just a formality.
I'll put it
That's
for
just
a
what
motion.
they asked me.
Second. Got a motion and a second. So thank you, Luke. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any approved, any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, let me see. Roman numeral 5, consider approved information. Budget amendments, line item transfers.
Have it this time.
No action. Accounts payable, county bills.
Yes, that's our standard and customary.
I make a motion that we pay the county bills.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item C, amending subdivision regulations to include retainer for engineer review and filing fees.
I put that in the form of a motion.
Got a motion and a second. Go ahead, Joey.
Okay, if y'all seen it in your packet, I pulled that off of Polk County. We have the subdivision coming in, and the county on this first round, because everything was new, we had to pay around $5,000. So we want to pass that fee like Polk County does to the developer instead of the county having to do that because it's their development.
Yeah.
And I called Jed, and that's this tier schedule that Goodwin, Lassiter, and Strong uses, is that tier schedule. So recommend we go with that.
Regulations.
Yeah, for amending the regulations.
All right, so I talked to Jed also on that track that I was dealing with the other day down in the Fred Warren area. Is this, we're amending these so that the landowner has to pay
The developer.
the developer? Okay, so he was very concerned, the surveyor was, that they were going to have to do a topographical survey, which would include an engineer. And it was gonna run the bill up really, really high. So, I think that's something, and I understand what we're doing here, but I think at a later date, we may need to revisit those and just see how to make it a little more.
Yeah.
Because it's only a 15-acre tract being split into 3.75. So,
Well, the deal is here,
It's very
as everyone's
intrusive.
aware, Lakeland Ranch they're planning on having everything developed in 28 months, so.
yeah, I realize it's for the bigger picture, but
And they're gonna turn more in, and it's gonna end up, I mean, if they turn in 5 more sections, it's gonna run up a bill, so.
okay. Just wanted
Yeah,
to-
but we can, at any time, we can go and take a look at those things and amend, those regulations.
Okay.
Joe, ready for the question? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item D is create a budget line item for subdivision application filing fees.
I put that in the form of motion. Okay.
Second.
What I want to do, I talked to Polk County again on what they do, And they actually have a line item that whenever the developer pays the fees, it goes into that line item. And if there's anything left over, they actually mail the developer a check. It's just easier to keep track of all that. And, Donnie, do you remember, we're gonna go through y'all, correct?
And we'll receive the money, it goes into funds,
Okay.
then I guess they'll apply.
And any kind of refunds or disbursements back to the developer being handled through Jackie's office?
Either they'll do requisition or they'll invoice or something, and then Jackie will then, cut the developer a check. Is that the way it was?
I think that's it, what it was.
All right. We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item E is application of variance for subdivision of Caney Pines located on Memorial Road in Chester, Texas. Variance will affect lot number 5 of the subdivision.
Yeah, I bring that in the form of a motion.
Second.
What this is the subdivision's going in mainly in Polk County, only, there's 5 lots and about less than half of lot number 5 is in Tyler County. So they've applied through Polk County to, go under their subdivision regulations. That's where the entrance, some of that is at. And, I'd make a motion that we give a variance on this actual plat, where they don't have, they're following Polk County's regulations, and they don't have to follow ours too. They don't have to apply twice to it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item F, joint election agreements and ratify contracts with other political subdivisions for elections to be held May the 7th, 2022. I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Donnie's.
So this is, going to be a joint election between the county for the constitutional amendment election that on there is to increase homestead value, and that we kind of mentioned. And also a joint election with Brookville ISD, their bond election. And then a joint election with ESD number 5, Mr. Johnny Page is here. So the cost of the election will be divided 3 ways. And so it's not any entity paying the full cost of the election.
Thank you, Donnie. All right, y'all heard everything. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I might want to explain the ratified contracts. Commissioner's Court does not have to approve those contracts. It's a contract between my office and an entity. But just because we are spending money and then the other entities reimburse us, well, I just always bring it through Commissioner's Court.
Thank you. Item G, appointment of Matt O'Neill and Stephanie Smith to serve on the Tyler County Child Welfare Board.
I'll bring that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Sam, you had something to say? This is the president of our board here. Morning, please.
Thank y'all for, Stephanie Smith is not with us today. She's a teacher in Commonwealth, so she isn't with us, but Matt O'Neill. But he's here, but we appreciate
Yes.
y'all.
We really appreciate that. All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Put your hand down. Thank you, Matt.
Hey, Mike, I got a little note from Stephanie Smith here. She wanted me to read
Yes,
it.
go ahead.
This is from Stephanie Smith, who we just appointed. Thank you to the Tyler County Commissioners Court and members of the Tyler County Welfare Board, members for the appointment to the board. The mission of the board serves so many needs for our children in Tyler County, and I look forward to working with this group of amazing volunteers so much more of our kids can benefit from their efforts. Looking forward to my service on this board. And Stephanie has volunteered with that board and the functions that they do for years. She's been involved for years and years and years. So also Matt and
And he passed his background check.
Yes, that was me. Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Stephanie, for being willing to serve on that board.
Right. Item H is a transfer of used retired patrol unit to ESD number 5, Danby Fire Department. Sheriff,
Good morning.
I'll put it in form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion with a second. Go
Good
ahead.
morning, gentlemen. Good morning, community. I'm proud to have today with me, first of all, I've got the Danby Fire Chief, Mr. Mark Holcomb. I've got Mr. Glenn Kinney and also Mr. Johnny Page and his wife Nancy, who both represent Emergency Services District number 5. And I approached Mark and got to visit with Mr. Kinney and Mr. Page about the opportunity to be able to present them with it's a used patrol unit, 2014 model. It would be beneficial for them to be able to carry some JAWS equipment, also some personnel, also help out my department as well as the state troopers on the accidents that happen, not only within their district, a lot of times these volunteer fire departments, which I think that's important, we always remember that they are volunteers, that they help out all over the county. In such emergency situations, they may help other counties out within our local agreements that we have. So I just want to come before the court today and present that proposal and ask for your consideration, your vote on that. I don't know if the chief had anything he wanted to say or Mr. Kinney or Mr. Page. If you do, please, if I miss something.
Again, just it would help with our department response. Last night responded to come to Woodville, mutual aid with Woodville last night, actually, if they had on 190 to help divert traffic, and things like that, with extra vehicle for traffic control, these things would help. Having to keep our other trucks off the road and everything, using them, that way if we had another fire, another incident, we could have another vehicle to be able to respond with.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, y'all heard everything. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item I is bond renewal for Carl Hammond, treasurer of ESD number 2. Mr. Buck.
Yeah, that's me. That's for the Sparger Emergency Service District number 2, and we need to renew his bond. He's our treasurer, and I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item J is portable toilet rentals for Western Weekend and Dogwood Weekend to be paid from contingency each year.
Yeah, I'll bring that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Hey, this is something that we normally do every year, and I'm trying to get it on there so we won't miss out. Or just have it continually, just a general approval for each year. The county normally pays for the porta potties for both weekends and out rodeo around, where people would come to town and have somewhere to go use the restroom. I say we continue that. That's the court's wish.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item K is seek bids for all road and bridge material for Tyler County. I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Seek bids for petroleum products for Tyler County. Item L. Put it in the form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item M, seek bids for hauling for road and bridge for Tyler County. I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item N is a purchase replacement of 2 express poll books and 44 election wire data USB drives. And I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Ms. Donies.
Okay, so I don't, well, Amanda, have you heard about the cost of toll books yet? I don't think we've gotten that price back.
They're supposed to be shipped out by UPS this week, and we should hear something about Wednesday.
So we'll table that part of it, or we'll just put it back on another agenda. But the USB drives, so since we're having this May 7th election and, we have to keep the data on our drives from election night for 60 days. And so, we don't have enough time to be able to send those drives to be reprogrammed for the next election. So what we're gonna do is purchase some, and then I think instead of purchasing 44, we're gonna purchase 29, and then we're gonna rent the rest of them. So, because the purchase of them is $150 each, and that was gonna be close to $6,000. So we decided we're going to, they're special USB. And all the time you can go to Walmart to get it. So,
Where do you want this paid out of?
our elections line item.
Okay.
So you, instead of 44 USB drives, you will get 29?
Well, if,
Or do you want to go ahead and buy the 44?
no, we're going to purchase 29,
And we rent the rest of it.
right, and rent the rest.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And then we will put the express poll books back on.
Yes, sir.
On the next.
Because we've got two, Amanda's at two of them that we were having problems with. One, I think it's just a base, and then, last month I had it on there that we had to replace the pole pad in one of them, and so we may have to replace another pole pad, and then one is just the base of it. But we won't know until they've looked at it and let us know.
Okay, thank you.
I was just hoping it'd be back, before
About quarter. All right. Item O is deputization of Amanda Stevens in the county clerk's office. I'll put that forward in motion. Second.
Okay, so Miss Amanda's with us. She's been working part-time for almost a year now. And some of you know that, Adrian, I get those two mixed up. Adrian Medina, has left, and she's gonna be going to school. So Amanda been working part-time, and she knows a lot. She helps us with our tech stuff. And, so we just put her in the slot the very next day.
Wonderful.
So I'd like approval for her to be deputized.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
You're it.
Item P is 2022 Tyler County Historical Commission members and officers.
I'll put that in form of a motion.
Second. Got a motion second?
Yes, sir. Here with us today is the chairman, the great Mr. Chuck Davidson. If you want to read the names, however you want to do it, if you want to speak.
Well, I appreciate y'all's support of the Tyler County Historical Commission. So we've worked for you and for everybody else. And if you're interested in history of the county, come to our next meeting being held right here in April. We'll have the next meeting.
April.
The booster puts it in their paper every week, so we appreciate that from you. And we did pay for the doors for this
Thank y'all.
complex.
Thank you, sir.
And we appreciate working with the county.
We appreciate y'all.
Yeah, thank you for the donation. That was, I think, about a $35,000 donation that they made to replace these doors, these three that the public can see that they were just aluminum doors. So they donated that organization donated the money for that. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for all y'all's service to your time that y'all put in there.
All right, let's see.
And here, do we need to vote on the list or is that just information?
We need to-
Y'all appoint them.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, we need to vote on it. I'll make a motion that we appoint them. Did you already do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I already have a motion by Sterling, second by Blackshear.
Reappoint members and officers. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
You're home again, Joe.
Yeah, you're it.
All right, item Q is contract with Gov Deals online auction to allow the county to sell surplus property.
And I put that in the form of a motion.
Second, got a motion and a second.
We actually went out to do this a while back, but they require a contract, so we were looking at doing, can't remember the name of it now.
Auction Express.
Yeah, Auction Express, because they were gonna take all the pictures and we wouldn't have to do all the footwork, but they don't do that. I have to talk to them, so, and they actually charge 7.5% of what you sell, and so
What does Gov Deals?
zero. They pass
They
that on
push
to
it
the
on to the
buyer, so.
Push it all to the buyer.
Yeah, so I'd rather go through them if we're gonna have to do the footwork.
When will it start?
Whenever y'all tell me to.
Yeah.
We gotta get all the information, the pictures, the descriptions.
Signatures like we did last time?
So,
And like in the back of the warehouse at the county office, I mean, it is just chock full of stuff.
Oh, yeah, lots of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, just printers and all kinds of stuff. We need to get it out.
we have to put it in the paper, and then we put it on our website, and then it runs typically for 2 weeks.
Just like last time.
Mhm.
And then we get all those people to come pick it up.
Yeah. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item R, seeking a TDM HMPT grant through DR 4485 to establish base flood elevations throughout the county.
I put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Ken, could you speak to that, sir?
Well, yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me. First, I'm gonna ask you to table it. I talked to TDM on Friday. They're thinking this is a preparedness grant. I disagree, but they think it's preparedness, not mitigation. So I'm sending them a copy of our mitigation plan to see if they'll kind of change that opinion. But for now, I'm just gonna ask y'all to table that. Something I want to do, but
I'll make a motion.
Get that
Second.
But can you tell them what you were wanting to accomplish with it?
yes. What this is we have, under our NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program, we want houses, structures, whatever to be built above our base flood elevation. We have some areas of the county, specifically along the river, some in Idaho, and actually a few here in Woodville, where we know our base flood elevation benchmarks, where we know how high to tell a person if they're gonna build a house or build a structure to go above the floodplain. So if we want to make sure our houses all over the county are that way, as y'all know, we have places that flood in there, all of our precincts, not just along the river. So to establish those benchmarks, about 40 benchmarks across the county, so it's easier to determine that elevation when we go to build a structure. So that's what this grant would do, is give us those benchmark elevations throughout the county. Yes, ma'am.
Well, we'll look at it on the next court.
I hope to have an answer
Okay.
fairly quickly. The application deadline is April 29th. I know it's like that, so.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Ken. All those in favor to table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, item S is to reinstate membership with Text 21. Joe?
I put that in the form of a motion. So the membership for a county our size, and it's gonna be $2,500 a year, and we still get the same vote. And what Text 21 is, did y'all get the packet? It's coordinating with I-14 and these corridors that are coming through. And I think it's important because they're gonna be at the crossroads right in Tyler County. So I think we need to have somebody on that. And, but I'd like to be a part of that. And I talked to Mr. Nash about why he stepped down or why they dissolved, and he just said he got burned out pretty much. And, but he said he thought it was a great idea to be on it. So.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item T is designate a court member to be the voting member within the Text 21 organization.
I put that in form of motion.
Second.
Well,
Motion and second.
yeah, and I
designate Joe.
well, that'll work.
All those in favor of putting Joe on it, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item U, order constitutional amendment election for May the 7th, 2022, and notice of election. I put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion second. Donnie, is there anything?
Yes, sir, this is, the constitutional amendment election that we've been mentioning, and it's, ordered by the governor, but the commissioner's court also has to sign an order. And I've prepared one for you.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, Roman numeral 6, is comments by court members pertaining to matters of county government.
Yes, sir, I'd like to say something.
All right.
In light of some of the comments that were made here this morning about your county road, I'm sure that I have some that are, I know that I have some that need attention too. I don't think that the average person is aware of just how county government spends the money or how it's allotted out. And so I asked Ms. Skinner, our county auditor, to prepare a PowerPoint that would, I hope, and I know there's only a few people here, but it is on the YouTube and people can go and look at it, when they don't understand, and I don't know how many will take the time to do it, but I've asked her to do this for us, and she's going to present it right now, and I hope that it will shed some light on just what we do have to work with. And it's not a whole lot, I will say that.
Okay, I apologize when you see the first slide because THC had us take our curtains down. And we haven't been approved for what we know we could put back up on the windows, so that's why you've got the kind of not as good to read as it normally would be. Let's see. This is an organizational chart of the county as it relates to the elected officials and to myself as an appointed. And just so you know, when I get through, I will be happy to email this to anybody. I've got copies, a few copies here if somebody wants to have a copy of it to be able to look at it later where you can actually see everything. But at the very top, it says voters of the county. And in the county, it's divided into 4 quadrants. As you're well aware, Commissioner Precinct 1, 2, 3, 4. In the box kind of in the middle, or off to the right below it, it shows the 4 quadrants, and in the middle it shows the county judge. That is what makes up Commissioner's Court. And the 4 quadrants are paid, the tax money that they get is, and I'm going to show you on your statement, is entitled County Special. That's what's for the roads specifically. That's a restricted fund that can only be used for maintenance and operation of county roads, okay? The other elected officials, the district clerk, county clerk, sheriff, tax assessor, the county treasurer, the district clerk, the justice of the peace, the constables, the health officer, and myself, general fund is what funds all of those offices, okay? So go ahead and go to the next one. So what I asked, I've got Mr. David Luther here with me today. I asked him to give me the information as a county as a whole of what portion of the taxes on your tax statement go for what. Because sometimes on the statement that you'll see when I move to the next slide, that, one more, is you see these little abbreviations, G229, that is general fund. SC, for me, that's Homeless Mill ISD. GSP is your county special, and ESD number 7 is emergency services. So anytime you see ESD on your tax statement, that's emergency service district. And then HOS is the hospital. Okay, if you look over to the right, right where I've got my penalty and interest, you can see the percentage of general fund on this particular tax statement of $1,077.25. The general fund, I'm contributing, because this is my personal statement, $344.96 to fund all those offices in general fund. The county special, which is GSP, is the third one down. I'm contributing $120.61. So let's go back up to the pie. So let's go back up to the pie and look at the pie. So the school districts are roughly 44.6% of your tax statement. Those that live in the city limits, which you didn't see that on mine because I do not live in the city limit, is 4.4%, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, David, is it Woodville and Ivanhoe, correct?
Yes.
And then we have 7 ESDs, which roughly makes up 1.3%. Water districts is in precinct 3, Lake Amanda, and what's the other? Proclamation, okay. And then the county general is 28.5%. The hospital is 10.3%, and the county special is 10.5%. So 39% of the overall property taxes is what the county gets out of the county as a whole. And the county only sets the rates for general, for county special, and for the hospital. The school districts, the cities, the ESDs, the water districts, that is their own taxing entity, and they are the ones that set those rates. People are confused and misled sometimes because you go to the same place to pay your taxes. That was done because the tax assessor collector contracts with these entities to where you're not having to go to every different place to pay your taxes. You're paying it all in one location. That the county does not get all your money. This is, when I said the taxes as a whole, and I know, and I apologize you can't read it, this was prepared for me by Mr. Luther to show the taxing entities of the various ESD districts, the school districts, because they're all different. And so that's where the pie chart came from with the county as a whole. Okay, now this is where I may get David to help me out here. When there is a process that the county appraisal district has to follow their guidelines that they're given, and the state dictates part of it. But on January 1, the appraisal district, they're required to value the property, correct? Okay. So once that's done, then between January 1st and April is when the appraisal districts complete the appraisals, and people that have requested a homestead exemption, ag exemption, whatever exemption that they are entitled to, that's taken into consideration. And then through April and May, the appraisal district sends out notices of appraised values. Now, the one thing I don't think people realize, and I didn't really realize, I mean, I knew you could protest your taxes, but I didn't know that there's only a window of time that you can do it. I mean, I knew there was, but I didn't know what the window of time was exactly. So, Mr. Luther, I'm gonna let you explain the window of tax and what happens when they get their statement and they say, I'm not paying this.
Supposed to try to get the notice out as soon as we can for homestead properties in April. We've been getting them out more in May and June the last few years. But the deadline is 30 days after the notice is put in the mail. So if we put them in the mail on June the 1st, then the 30 days later would be June 30th. And that would be the protest deadline. There are some exceptions to that are very limited. We just have to work those out with taxpayers. So basically, it's a 30-day window.
And so once the hearings are held, because
Oh,
that's
you
what,
mentioned that part.
yeah,
If you do file a protest in the 30-day window, then it's not with us, it's with the review board. The review board then, you get a hearing scheduled, you go to the review board, and then they will hear your case, and then make their decision. They're supposed to have their work done by July 20th, so that I can certify values out to each of the schools in the county and so forth. And my deadline for that's July 25th. There's some wiggle room in there, but the entities really like us to be on time, to give them something that they can work with the budget. After that, then when it's certified to the entity, then Manette gets the information and she has to go through and do the initiate, I guess, the truth of taxation process, which leads to the adoption of the tax rate. So basically, the way that works in a perfect world would be values go up, the tax rate from last year should come down some. Values go down, it would go up to achieve the same amount of revenues as it did before. It's not exactly like that. That's the concept behind it. Once that is done, then each individual governing body decides what they think they need for a tax rate. And they have a proposed rate, and legislature's been very eminent on this the last few years, and really it reinforced it 4 years ago, that you cannot raise the rate beyond a certain percentage. It used to be 8%, it's been reduced down to 3.5%, and 0% for schools, without being subject to a rollback. So legislature heard people complain, and 4 years ago, they really clamped down on this process and said, be sure, and follow it. And if they don't, then for some reason, they turned me into the licensing board. So I gotta make sure I get at least my part done right. And then eventually the tax rate's adopted. That has to be done by 60 days after I certify, or September 30th. And then the tax bill is prepared, mailed, and then collected. And then you go, the circle keeps going on, but then you come down in the middle. And that's when January 31st, tax is supposed to be paid. February 1st, the tax is delinquent, and penalties and interest get added. July the 1st of the next year, additional penalties are added for attorney's fees, and that's kind of the end of the process. If you don't pay there, then you get into court, to the courthouse.
okay, and can you explain the exemption on the 65, they say, they say the taxes are frozen?
Yeah, the note on here talks about taxes that wrote, for whatever reason, the tax calculations end up being higher than what you pay in the year that you turn 65. Then that extra is exempt, you don't have to pay it. So if you pay $500 in, let's say, 2018, then you should have paid $500 in 2019, 2020, and it don't matter what happens to bond issues, increases in tax rates, increases in values, any of that, you're still frozen. There is an exception, and I call it self-inflicted pain.
That is, if you add on to your house, a little bit of garage, or something like that, then that gets added on top of the old freeze, and then a new freeze is established after that. One thing that most people probably don't know, because it's very, very complicated, when they did tax rate compression over the last several years, tax rate compression when the school district could go up to $1.50 maximum for the general operating rate. And the state reduced that to, I think, $1.34, $1.17, and now it's at $1. And depending on what the values are, then the school district has to adjust. When they did that, that lowered everybody's school taxes, assuming the values are the same. They failed to take into account the over 65 people, which really surprised me. So over the next several years, they're going to have us recalculate what it would have been in those back years. And there's gonna be some kind of a credit to future taxes. I'm not gonna go back and get refunds, but they are going to make some adjustments in the future. It's quite a few pages of calculation, so I'm not sure exactly how and when we get there, but the legislature did take care of that. They had to do it this way, so you can't go back in time to change something, Constitution won't let you. So we're gonna use historical figures to change going into the future. So really even better than what's on here, the over 65 people should be getting some reduction. So that's just on the school taxes. Counties, they're frozen and they say unless you build, add on to your house or something like that. I'll try to get more information about this tax rate compression thing, see if there's anybody got to explain that, but it's actually better than what's on here.
Well, thank you, David, I appreciate it, because a lot of people say my taxes are frozen, but my taxes went up. And that's what I wanted the public to understand, because, you know, it's a lot of misconception, as to what can actually take place. So since roads were the big topic or hot topic, with the tax rate that the county has, this is how much, $3,111,729 is what the county special tax generated, or is projected, I'm sorry, to generate. When I get that figure after Lynette does her calculations, the precincts are divided up, and the money is divided up according to their road miles and their bridges. And you can see in the 4 precincts how much money they're gonna annually get to operate on. And so to reiterate, go to the next one. Everybody wants their road asphalt. We want a Highway 69, me included, on my road. Go to the next one. So what I did was I caught one of our vendors that we've used in the past and asked them to give me what 1 mile of road would cost to be rocked and 1 to be asphalt. And the bottom one is the one that is the asphalt. And for 1 mile of road, it's $252,149.40. That's for 1 mile. Okay, so here you can see if the commissioner wanted to asphalt every road in his precinct, this is the cost at the current price that we have at the moment. So then I wanted to see what would rock cost. A rock road would be another alternative to, and I was not able to get back with the guy to get the oil sand road, but go to the next one. The rock road is $60,766.20 for 1 mile. So you can see that based on the money that they have to work with and the current prices, the rock road is cheaper, but you can see if they wanted to rock every road within their precinct, if you just look at precinct 1, it'd be $7.4 million to do so. So that's why, and y'all feel free to interject anytime.
Well, the oil sand is supposedly, we heard that it's gonna go up. Last year it was $14,000 for a truck of oil. This year, they're saying over 16,000. Takes a truck of oil to do 2/10 of a mile, am I correct? So you're looking at astronomical amount of money just to do oil sand.
64,000 just for the oil,
Mm-hmm.
not counting all the labor and material. and
Exactly.
equipment.
So if we go to the next one, and in addition to the materials it would take, they have to have the equipment. And I know you can't read that, but I got a vendor to give me the price of a new, maintainer, and it is $305,000 for one piece of equipment. The next piece of equipment, or back, let's see, that's Don, you go to the next one, is for a loader. And this one happens to be used, and a used one is $164,000. So in addition to what it costs for the material, the equipment that they have to have, and then they have to pay their people to do it, they're working with limited funds. And that's why that every job that everybody wants done, correct me if I'm wrong, can't be done all in 1 year. It's kind of like you have to make a plan and go from there. So that pretty much concludes my road part. Now on the general fund, general fund subsidizes commissioners' court members in the, because of their administrative duties. You have the county treasurer, the county judge, the county clerk, the commissioners. You got the sheriff, and the sheriff has a long list of things that he's responsible for. He's responsible to maintain the county jail. And I don't know if you were aware that the jail commission is the one that comes and inspects the jail and tells us what we will do and what we have to do. And the prisoners are in there, they have to be provided meals, they have to be provided clothing, they have to be able to have access to a commissary to get items that they want. We are required, and I don't know if the sheriff is still in here. He's not. Yeah. How many, what is the prison ratio to the jailer? Is it 3 jailer for every 3?
No, it's, you've got, it's 3 for every, with ours, it's 40, right at 40, 3 for 40.
Because it depends on the size of your jail, correct?
Exactly, yeah, it's a
Okay.
ratio, yes, on population.
So, the meals, when I came to work here in 1984, the jail was at the end of the courthouse, and the meals that the prisoners were provided were Nighthawks and cereal for breakfast and frozen dinners. Well, then the prisoners said we're being treated unfairly, so now we had to get a balanced.
There's a dietitian.
A dietitian.
Has to create those menus every year, instead on a yearly basis.
So we can't use the cheap banquet and Nighthawk dinners anymore.
Yeah, that's what we call
So-
unfunded mandates.
Yes. And so there's a lot, the sheriff's department, as you are aware, has to have uniforms, has to have vehicles. Constables are the same thing. The district attorney works in conjunction with the sheriff to prepare cases. Sometimes the cost of expert witnesses can get into a higher dollar amount. When we require an interpreter, the justice of the peace, they handle all the small claims and the tickets. And one thing I wanted to bring up is The fees with the JP and the district clerk and the county clerk. If you, let's say in the JP court, you got a speeding ticket, and let's say that the speeding ticket was $150. People believe that the $150 comes to the county, all of it. It does not. We are in actuality fee collectors for the state. And there are state cost fees that have to be paid and sent to the state that I have to send quarterly. And it roughly comes depending on how busy the highway patrols are or how busy the court system is. It can be anywhere from 30,000 to 50,000. It's been a little bit lower because of the pandemic and the things being limited and the courts being limited. The next one. The tax assessor collector, as you probably know, that's where you get your car tax. And it's also where you pay your property taxes, and Lynette, you can jump in here if you want, but to be able to get you your car tags, to get your titles, we have to have a server that connects to the state. And that is an extra expense that we have. The tax software that she works to generate your receipts when you go in to pay your taxes, the cost that she has to send out all the taxing entities what money that she collects in their behalf. The health officer has a unique responsibility. If during this pandemic, we had to have a health officer, which is usually one of our local doctors. We had Dr. Swearingen for years before he became in poor health and too old to be able to do it. But if some health disaster happens, we're required by law to have a health officer. And so that's where that one comes in. And then my position comes in, I am appointed by the district judges for our district court. And my job is to assist the commissioner's court and the county judge in preparing a budget. And then once the budget's adopted and approved, then that's where everybody gets their budget of what they can spend their money for. My office reviews all the bills. When I review them, then the treasurer reviews them. And then we present them to commissioner's court and they are approved for payment. My job is also to audit the fees that come into the county. The judge serves as the budget officer, because this has also been a hot topic. And in the local government code, it does state that the county judge is the budget officer and will prepare a budget with the assistance of the county auditor, and it says, or the county clerk. The reason the county clerk is put in there is some counties that do not meet the population requirement to require having an auditor. So when they don't have an auditor, it falls to the county clerk to assist the judge. You will flip to the next one. These are just a few of the required expenses of general fund that we have no control over. And part is what I was telling you about being the collector of court document, court fees. I'm saying these are approximate figures. 150,000 immediately has to go be sent to the state. Because we have employees, we have mandatory employee taxpayer taxes where if whatever is held out for Medicare and Social Security, the county is required by law by the IRS to match it. And I'll just use that based on an annual payroll. We're required, because we have more than 50 people, workers' comp insurance to pay. We have property insurance on our buildings, so if someone slips down and it gets hurt and files suit against the county, we have insurance to protect the county's property. We have auto liability for the various vehicles for the sheriff's department and the road and bridge. Auto physical damage in the county that we live in, especially in November. The deers like to move and they like to run out in front of people. And so when we have a car that is torn up because of a deer running out in front of it, that's where our auto physical damage is for. We have general liability is there for the accident. Law enforcement liability is and public officials liability is if the county is sued for someone believing that they were done improper in law enforcement or with a public official. Court-appointed attorneys, and this is just one particular year, and it was almost the start of the pandemics, but we pay a lot in court-appointed attorneys. That is another thing that we have no control over. When when a person is arrested and they cannot afford an attorney, that's when they're read their Miranda rights. It tells them if you can't afford, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sheriff, if you can't afford an attorney will be appointed for you. So that's what court-appointed attorneys are for. Grand jurors are for when the sheriff turns a case into the DA bills the case before it can go to his courtroom to have a court on it. It has to be brought before the grand jury, and the grand jury looks at the evidence to see if there is enough that they feel enough qualifying evidence to give an indictment to therefore go to trial. Postage meters is, as you well aware, it's 50-something cents now. Legal notices, we're required to send legal notices, just like today, they've approved for me to go out for bids for road material, for petroleum products. That has to be published in the paper and published on our website, and there are fees to do that, just like Donice has requested to publish the election in the paper. That is legal requirements of the offices. Bonnet has to do the same thing for the tax rate. So that's what advertising for legal notices and legal documents that have to go out. And the appraisal district, we are assessed based on, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the tax, it's the county, the school, and who else?
City, fire service district, water district.
Right, so that is our portion that is assessed, and all these other entities are assessed in a portion as well. And then our Alan Shivers Library is something that we fund. We have an interlocal agreement with the city of Woodville and the school district of what we will provide, what they will provide. That is subject to change because it's to be reviewed every year, but this is currently what we are committed to pay at the moment. And then the last one is just the utilities, the lights and the water to operate all the county facilities. So that's pretty much my presentation about the taxes. Like I said, I'll be glad to email this to anybody. But well, you can, I was going to say, you can keep them back down if I got one more.
And Miss Jackie, if you can email that to us, we can also get this put on.
Okay, perfect. That'd be great. Okay, so the next slide presentation is this. And I don't know, I said, some of you may be old enough to remember Dragnet. When he would go and say, only the facts, only the facts. So this slide presentation is facts. So it was adopted or created or put into law in 2021. I'm not gonna read all this, but it basically happened on March the 11th. And the states got money, and then local governments got money. It was originally, one of the first original things was called the CARES Act. And that was for people, our hospital was losing people because of contract of being a nurse during the pandemic, paid way more because they needed them. And so our government looked a little further, a little deeper in the people that it affected, and go to the next one. And so this was another chart, and it's who does the American Rescue Plan help? American families. Most of you, if you were under a certain income bracket, you received a stimulus payment. The veterans were able, restaurants and bars, renters and homeowners, FEMA disaster relief, farmers, small businesses, and other vital industries, vaccinations and healthcare, reopening schools and higher education, tax credits, aid, and child care for families, and unemployment. As you know, for a while, unemployment payments jumped up from what they used to be. And then over on the side, it says 350 billion was sent to or allocated for the state and local aid to prevent layoffs and service cuts. On May 17th, when we knew that it had been in law, and this, what you're seeing here is from Commissioner's Court minutes. It's not anything I've drawn up. It's an excerpt from them where we applied for the American Rescue Grant money for local governments, which then started becoming called ARPA. Nobody really understood, nobody really knew what the money would be allowed to be used for. When they first adopted it, there was no regulations at the time. There was, but we wanted to get a jump on being ready to function and use this money to the best that we knew how. So it was also at this time to adopt, because anytime you get anything, any monies from whether it's the state or the federal government, you have to have a resolution. So we did the motion was done to apply for it. And I think Commissioner Blacksher even stated he was concerned because there was so much unknown at this point. But we decided to get ahead of it and to adopt the resolution and then go out for the procurement process for an administrator to make sure that everything, all the documentation that you are required to have, that we don't miss anything. Because the worst case scenario, and we had it happen during Hurricane Ida, you have somebody from FEMA come on the ground and tell you, yeah, this is eligible, and you do it, and then when the audit comes, they say, well, I don't know who told you that was eligible, but it's not. And then when they deobligate, we have to send whatever the money that particular function we were told qualified is returned to the granting entity. So that's where in May we started this to seek and there I just put the legal notices, so you see it ran for 2 weeks, May 20th, May 27th. The next one was for engineering services. Then we go to June the 14th. And that's where we didn't receive any bids for a grant administrator because there wasn't enough guidelines. They were afraid to commit to something that they didn't understand. So no bids were received. We did receive a few on an engineering firm, but our emergency manager asked for that to be tabled for further study because it may be possible that we wouldn't need an engineer depending on what the court decided to use the funds for out of the categories. Okay, then on August the 9th, Tyler County Hospital came to us and made us aware, the court aware of the contract nursing that they were having to have because one of the comments that she made in her presentation was to try to get the nurses that were already there to stay, they offered them $95 an hour. And they refused it because they could be a contract nurse for $250 an hour. And so that caused the hospital to become in distress with medical personnel. So she came and asked the court of these ARPA funds to please consider helping the hospital where they can meet the needs of the people, the citizens in our county. On the 23rd, we created a separate fund so that we could track it. And because we didn't receive the funds until July, and I meant to have that on here, and I just failed to get it on here. So they made, when we received the monies in July, they made the decision to assist the hospital with their contract labor. And so for the year 2021, $785,000. With the calendar year of 21, and then a higher amount, $674,000, and then review in February of 2022 to see what else might be needed. Then on the 30th, the discussion began about what premium pay was, what could be done with it. In the court, it states that they began the discussion to deem which employees and officials were essential workers pertaining to the American Rescue Plan. Then they deemed that all officials and employees were and acted upon that. And I'm going to read that. It says, a motion was made by Commissioner Stark to open for discussion consideration of the premium pay amount for the American Rescue Planned Act for county employees and officials deemed essential pertaining to ARPA and when and how it would be distributed. The motion was seconded by Commissioner Marshall. Commissioner Sturrock stated different ways the amounts could be distributed, such as a flat rate or step program. Judge Blanchett motioned to table the consideration of the premium pay until after September 7th for further study. Commissioner Marshall seconded the motion to table. When we ended court on September 7th, the table item was mistakenly left off. And if you don't have it on the agenda, you can't discuss it. So it was not discussed on September 7th. On September 13th was when they removed the table item to act on it and to approve pay for the county employees and officials deemed essential. Commissioner Sturrock and Hudson reported out of those polled, the employees preferred a flat rate. Commissioner Marshall stated his concern that some part-time employees had been essential also. Commissioner Sturrock voiced discussion for part-time employees would require a separate agenda item because action taken in a previous meeting was for full-time employees. Judge Blanchett contemplated that there was a substantial number of part-time employees that are essential to the functions of county government and should receive consideration of something as they have weathered through these challenges with us. Commissioner Stirrup added the positions needed to be considered and not the person. The county auditor and the county treasurer stated the time period designated by the act as March 30th, 2020 and December 31st, 2020. A motion was made and seconded by Commissioner Blacksher to amend the motion to include the payment to full-time employees at a flat rate of $3,500 across the board. And that were employed from March 30th to December 31st, 2020, and are currently employed. A motion was made by Commissioner Stirrup and seconded by Commissioner Blacksher to amend the motion that the one-time payment be paid on September 21st. All voted yes. Judge Blanchett asked the sheriff if there were any of his employees that may have worked during the range of time designated but were no longer with the county being slided out. The sheriff replied there was an allotted amount, hazard pay, that was given to his employees or other departments. Judge Blanchett called for the vote on the original motion. All voted yes and none no. On September 20th, I'm going to add, prior to this, no communication by the judge or by anybody else, by Eric McGee or anybody to me, that there was any question that it was incorrect to include officials. Now, I know that you people sitting in this room, a lot of you know me, a lot of you don't. But I will say this, had I been apprised of that beforehand, I would not have stayed, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. But let's move forward. This, on September 20th, was when the county treasurer sent out an email to the officials saying, wait, there's this section 152.013 that it would appear that we would be violating if the officials are paid. But then the next day, a letter by the county treasurer stated, and I'm going to read the paragraph that's relative. She says, please enclose find your paycheck. I want to say that I sincerely apologize for any concern that I might have caused you in reference to the payment of these funds based on the direction of our commissioner's court. That was never my intention. I want to make clear that I only wanted to take a minute to investigate what I had been told at a conference, and she references that. Now, the next paragraph is what is important to me, and is where you'll understand where I'm coming from. That being said, after doing hours of research, the bottom line is that it falls on the court's interpretation of the law or the code. After speaking to the examples provided for our pattern to pay, no one answer is clear. Cameron County, for example, which was used in court, did not pay their officials, but Upshur County did. They told me they had spoke with TAC Legal and they were given the green light, which differed from my conversation. They, Upshur County, have stated that this payment is a stimulus and does not fall under local government code, to it being a once in a lifetime event and not on any repeating cycle. Therefore, under the direction and authority of the court, you will find your check enclosed. That is interpretation. I vetted the information out, called the U.S. Treasury myself, asked. Their answer to me was, because they're politicians, that'd be fine to refer to interim ruling. I requested that they send me an email to that effect, if that was in fact okay to do, and they said, we don't do that. refer to the interim ruling. So then on Friday, October 1st, I received a phone call from my district judge that the county judge had called her and told her that I had illegally allowed the officials to be paid. I'm not gonna read my email to the commissioners, and like I said, I got a copy here, you can take it with you. But each point of where the information that I gave the commissioners, because yes, the buck stops here with the information that they received. I gave them the interim final ruling and all the documentation that I had pertaining to why, what, when, and where. Okay? If I at any time felt that I was committing a criminal act, I never would have allowed it to happen. On October the 4th, the judge sent an email to the commissioners, and I think some of you are familiar with it. I have sought counsel from several sources to assure that the court's decision to distribute premium pay to both full-time employees as well as officials is in full compliance with any and all constitution or statutory requirements. That was done out of an abundance of caution. The sources that I've sought include legal as well as current and former county officials who are acquainted with the requirements of compensation disbursements. Our legal counsel, Eric McGee, plans to attend a future court meeting and offer his opinion during this executive session. We must be fully confident that we have addressed all possible concerns and potential ramifications associated with this decision. This is a very bold step that the court has taken and became a topic of discussion among other counties. Although I may not agree with this decision, I am part of the consequences which may result from the action. He states, as Eric says, you can't unring the bell. So then he sends me an email that basically states that I misinterpreted and led the commissioners to believe something that wasn't true. But he did contact the district judge because she is I'm appointed by them. Never once has the county judge communicated with me. Again, I would say, had I known of any reservation, and I didn't even find out that an official letter was written by Eric McGee, which will be later.
And I want to say, notice the dates, because the dates, this was after the fact. In the conversation I had with Leanne in the treasurer's office, that was the day before the checks went out. Actually, you read it, it said the 21st. It said the 21st, the checks were going to go out, is what it said in the minutes.
So, moving forward.
Am I one member on the court, sir? Why was I the only one approached?
I would be
Okay, let's let Jackie continue her deal. We didn't ask for public comments again. Okay? Let's just keep it quiet.
Okay.
Finish your presentation, please.
So then the judge himself sent me an email, and I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to read my response to him. Good morning, Jacques. The American Rescue Act was passed by the federal government on March the 11th, 2021. Tyler County received a portion of their allotment on July 26, 2021, directly from the U.S. Treasury in the amount of $2,104,766. When the money was received, there were several questions as to how the money could be used by local governments. There were several webinars and information online from the United States Treasury as well as other entities. Information was provided into the court from all possible sources. Commissioners Court held on August 30th had two action items. Item F was deem which county employees and officials are essential workers pertaining to the American Rescue Act. The court voted that all employees and officials were essential workers, and the item passed. Item G was premium pay amounts from the American Rescue Plan Act for county employees and county officials deemed essential pertaining to the American Rescue Plan Act and how and when it was to be distributed. Item G was tabled for further study. Monday, September 13th, Commissioners Court was held, and item G was presented from the previous court, was back on the agenda. The court approved the amount of $3,500 for employees and officials, and for it to be paid by September 23rd with other stipulation. I did not receive any communication from anyone that there were reservations or reasons not to make the payment prior to the court meeting. Only after the court had approved it all did the officials receive an email from the county treasurer about not going to the elected and appointed officials because of the local government code. And I only knew that you had a concern when I received a call from Judge Delinda Gibbs Walker. I did communicate with commissioners to see if they had received anything stating that the payment was in violation of local government code 152.013. Other than the email from the county treasurer, I understand only one commissioner received a call regarding any reservation. We are experiencing several unprecedented firsts. This funding is the first of its kind. Due diligence was performed by trusted and accurate sources and provided to the court. The court is ultimately the authority on passing and adopting any policy or payment. I have requested legal opinion from Criminal District Attorney Lucas Babin. I will notify you when I receive his answer. As you're aware, he gave an answer. Flip to the next one. The next one. This is where I certified, based on Lucas's opinion, the amount that we received from the United States Treasury, and we created the budget. And then the next slide is the letter from Eric McGee. It was dated October the 1st, that myself nor the court officials knew of the letter. When the next court was November 15th, it was discussed about which part-time employees were to receive the American premium pay. And then the next one was when it had been said that the court did not want to do anything for small businesses. And I reached out to counterparts. I reached out to Harris County because they have organizations that will administer this particular portion, because in federal money that a county distributes, we can't just cut a check. There has to be documentation and proof of the business. And so I looked at the organization that was helping Harris County, and it's a lot of documentation. It's your your income tax returns, a lot of information. So I reached out to the COG and asked them in an email if they would be willing to help Tyler County with getting, helping us to know how and what would be the best way to help a small business. I got a response back from them, which said, because I had heard through the different COGs of the state, some of the COGs were helping and administering with the small businesses. They basically told me that they were not sure. They didn't have the staff to do that. It was too unclear. So they declined, and I asked them, but they did say if they did come up with another entity, they would get back with me, which, I haven't heard. I reached out to another, counterpart of mine, and I got his permission to share his email, where he stated that they had an outside agency, and they were developing their programs, and that basically that organization that they had contracted with would get all the documentation required, the income tax returns, the proof that there is a small business, and that they were on, their county was giving them a percentage of the SBA loan requirement payment, I believe was his exact words. And, so that they would be able to vet out to the federal government that they had given the money, but that organization was responsible for keeping, the records, because I didn't want the county to be responsible for keeping somebody's income tax return. Anyway, and then on December 7th, I presented the report, of how the money had been spent year to date. Then we had back on December 13th about the part-time people, what they should get, how, and we reached out to Lucas, but he was in a court at that time. So we made the Commissioner Marshall, who's the Judge Pro Tem, kind of just told us that let's move past to see if we could get Lucas on the phone. And then finally, because we were not able to get in touch with Lucas Babin, the court decided to move forward and discuss how and when the part-time people would receive the money, because we were really needing to get it all done in that particular time frame. And it was stated that they would get 1,500 in the criteria. And like I said, I've got this printed, you can have it, or I can email it to you, you can give me your email address. So then we went out, because we didn't get an administrator and things were a little bit more clear, getting a little bit more seminars, webinars of what you could do. We went out again for bids to request an administrator. And then, given in light of a lot of dissension about this elected officials receiving this premium pay, and the 3 that chose not to take it, because I do, and I am an honest person and want to do my job correctly and efficiently, because my legal person, according to statute, is the district attorney. And the reason Tyler County's district attorney is called a criminal district attorney is because he acts as the county attorney and the district attorney. That was done years ago, because years ago, we did have a county attorney, and then they consolidated, and they can consolidate if they're entitled a criminal district attorney. So I did speak to my district judge and did want to get an answer, because like I said, I want everything to be correct. They responded that they received it. They asked for briefs from other people that's carbon copied there. I did include their response that they received it. I've included the one brief that I did get from Allison Bass, and we are waiting to hear from them. It's also been said that I need to be investigated by a Texas Ranger, and I would welcome any agency that feels that I've done something criminal or done something that is worthy of that. Let's do it, because I want it to be known that I'm not the person that I'm being made out to be on social media. This last slide is exactly how we have paid and what we've paid and what are potential projects. We do have a workshop scheduled for Wednesday. We do have an administrator now that can help us work through this process. But most of our money at this point has went to the hospital, because the hospital is a very important part of our community, and it has saved my life more than once, and it is my desire to keep our hospital open so that it can be, they provide the level of care they can, and when they can't, they see that you're transferred to the level of care that you do need.
Can I speak on the hospital thing too? Because this is something that I learned from Sandra. The sheriff, you can speak to this too, they handle so much of our indigent care that if we don't have a hospital, we've got to pay elsewhere and pay their rates. And when I came into the office, I didn't understand that, that it's not a may pay, it's a shall. Sheriff, I mean, everybody in your jail is indigent.
Well, and I think it goes without saying with our community, that our hospital is vital to our community, to our citizens. And kind of like Jackie just elaborated on, you don't realize how important it is until you need them. And that's something, yeah, exactly. What we're faced with simply in our jail, with the mandates that we have to follow just on inmates alone, it's overwhelming. If we didn't have our hospital here locally, you're talking money that would be going out of our community to take care of these, and just magnified.
Well, because basically what would happen is if we didn't have the hospital, they went to outside that entity, that medical facility would send us to the.
Exactly, whether it be Beaumont, Lufkin, Dallas, whoever.
At their rate.
Yeah.
At their rate.
Yeah.
So
Not what we want to pay.
At their rate.
we never want to lose our hospital. The last thing that I wanted to say is, it's been said that there was a feud between me and the county judge. That's not true, not on my part. And I've reached out to him, and I'm willing to work with him in any way I can, but I've never received a response. I don't like contention, I don't like dissension. These men up here have a hard job to do, I wouldn't want to do it. Donnice, I'm also taking the liberty, I got the court's approval, but you took a lot of harassment, so to speak. Anyway, so this is on behalf of Commissioners Court and myself. I want to thank you for what you do for holding the elections and making sure that they're done right and that we follow the rules, because we got a bunch of new voters. Over to her. We also in our office have little baskets for your workers. Because we do appreciate the work that they do. And anyway, like I said, this was information I wanted people to know factually. Sure, there's differences of opinion, and there's gonna be. I don't think me and my husband agree on everything, but that doesn't mean we're still not married. It's the same way in county government. We may have a difference of opinion, but in the end, it's to do what's best and help our county move forward. And that's my goal. That's only been my goal, is to help the county. I love this county. I didn't grow up here, but I got here as fast as I could. And I'm proud to call this county my home. And each of these officials work hard and do their job, and I appreciate them and the friendship that I have with them, even though we've gotten some knockdown dragouts before. We still work together, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate them, and like I said, I appreciate them.
Thank you.
I would just like to say too, Jackie, if anybody wants to know why I was for paying our employees, sure, they would have probably got a check for sitting at the house and not working. But there was business that needed to be tended to. People had to have services from the county, and our people worked. They were on the front line. We were on the front line. We had meetings, we were out and about, and, you know, I just don't understand where anybody wouldn't think that because at the start of this deal, everybody thought if you get it, you did. I mean, you didn't know what was gonna happen. But our people came on to work anyway. I mean, they took care of it, done what needed to be done. So I have no regrets of that, and I don't have any regrets of taking it myself. I just want to say that.
Well, I want to say something too, and I don't, I know we've been sitting here a long time, and probably people are tired of listening to, you know, all this. But when I became commissioner, I'll admit to you, I didn't know a whole lot about county government. I was an educator for 30 years. I love Tyler County. I'm executive director for the Dogwood Festival, worked with the county fair, and I love Tyler County. I'm 6th generation Tyler County. It's a wonderful place. No other county that touches us is as unique as Tyler County. And I work with these other 3 men right here, Commissioner Blackshear, Commissioner Starrock, and Commissioner Marshall. We cannot meet together other than right here, okay? So we can't get together and defend ourselves from all this bull crap that's been going on Facebook. And that's just what I'm gonna call it. You know, these are good men. I'm a good person. I mean, I don't think it's bad to say you're a good person. I've never done anything wrong, and I'm like Mike. If I thought I was doing something wrong, according to what we saw when we did this, you know, I mean, maybe we shouldn't have done it. I don't know, but all the facts pointed to it was okay. There really was no clear point on it. But I'm talking. Keep your comments to yourself. What really bothers me about all of this, and I'm talking about a matter of county government, is the fact that when I became commissioner, I had no less than 3 one-hour sit-tos with the judge on how we all had to work together and how we all had to be on the same page. He goes around and tells that to everyone, and I agree. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's the 5th one? Okay. For use of a better word, I guess, I'm tired of being thrown under the bus. Okay. He's not here. Why is this chair empty? It has been for 3 months practically. Okay. He makes a $94,000 salary. He's robbing the county, and some of y'all are worried about what we've done, that we've robbed somebody. Where is he? He refuses to come to court. Okay? I'm throwing him under the bus right now, and I'm backing up and spinning out on him because he has not had a problem with having a 3.5-hour sit-to with certain people and sitting there and trying to run us all down and talk about the county and how bad it is. Okay? Yeah, I'm on my soapbox right now, but this is our time to say it. I'm very disturbed at the way things have gone. And I don't know where it's headed. I really don't. But I do know that empty chair right there speaks volume. Okay? A lot of volume. And I'm so glad this is on YouTube. And I hope everybody tells their friends, and I hope they watch it, and I hope they hear what I'm saying. You know, commissioners have a thankless job. Most of your constituents like you. You have no problem. But we have what I call the chronic complainers. Okay? We have 2 of the sweetest secretaries over there you could ever want. They get cussed out on the phone. I get cussed out on the phone. And it's the same old people. We had one speak in court last month and sat right there and ran us down to our face. Okay? And she is a bitter woman. Okay? And her husband is the same way. And yes, they've cussed my secretary out, and I want y'all to know that, and they've talked to me real hateful too. So, we are not respected by some, but I guarantee you we're respected by most, okay? And that's why I said what I wanted to say today. I want y'all to, again, tell me why that chair is empty, and that's my final statement.
And I want to speak. I mean, I'm a first-year commissioner. This is some unprecedented stuff that I've been through this year with the American Rescue Act. All the stuff that we had at the time, that's what we made our decision by. The facts that were brought out were after the fact, the day before the check-in. And why was I the only one that was singled out? The senior member, in my opinion, should have been advising us, you know, because we have these sections right now where we can talk. And the senior member wasn't there. And I'll add to that. And there was no malicious intent. We saw a way to give our people money and not raise taxes on taxpayers. Because our people haven't had a raise in 4 years.
Exactly.
Okay? And you want to give them something. I mean, I've worked on the road crew. They don't make a lot of money, you know, and they work hard every day to try to make things better for everybody. And I don't feel like I did anything wrong by trying to give our people money without putting a burden on the taxpayers. Because I didn't want to raise any rate on the taxpayers. That's all I got to say.
I will say this too. I'm going to back up and spin out again. That person that sits in that chair right there, the last time he was in court, he called me on my way home. And he told me that he could no longer be my friend. Okay? And I know this is personal stuff and all, but I want y'all to know what kind of person we're dealing with. He throws us under the bus. And people sit there and let him do it and broadcast it all over the Facebook and everywhere else. Well, you know what? There's the problem. I'm sorry. When he can't be my friend, I've done nothing to him. And he also said that I could tell the rest of them. Okay, so what are we talking about there? I can't be your friend. Okay? To me, that's crazy. That's just nuts. I mean, we can't be friends. And there's that old song, why can't we be friends? You know? And once again, hadn't been here since. Drawing $94,000. Yep.
All right. Any other questions?
Motion to adjourn.
The motion second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for being here today. Very enlightening.